Again, let me welcome you to the beginning of the fall 2020-21 school year. We know that it is a slightly different opening than any of us have experienced before, but we're very excited to kick off another school year and get both our teachers and students started in becoming fully engaged in learning in an online environment. So the agenda for this evening, I'd like to introduce you to the administrative counselor teams that'll be working with our students this year. Discuss a brief overview of the various learning formats that we have students enrolled in at Cary High. I want to go over the student orientation weeks to kind of give you an idea of what to expect for the first 2 weeks of school. Going to address schedule change requests this year and how that might look different from years in the past. I'd like to spend some time talking about the learning schedule that we'll follow and get students ready for accessing the learning that they're going to face, and talk about student expectations just a little bit. So let's jump right in. First, let's meet the teams that are going to be supporting all of our over 2,100 students this school year. This year, working with our last names, letters A through D, we have Mr. McCullough and Miss Strader. Our administrator for letters E through G is Miss Scott, and your counselor will be Mrs. Peasley. We have Mr. Barefoot is the administrator working with last name H through MA. And if you're that last name, your counselor will be Miss Katie O'Riordan. Our administrator assigned to Alpha MC through R is Miss Dawson, and our counselor is Mr. Moore. And bringing up the end of the alphabet, the S through Z's will be, your administrator will be Miss Christy Patrone, and your counselor will be Mr. Ryan Johnson. These two individuals will also serve as the point people for any questions that you might have throughout the year regarding Virtual Academy. Miss Patrone is the Virtual Academy coordinator administrator, and Mr. Johnson will be the counseling support person for that group. So as we look at the school year, we realize that we have several different learning formats that our kids are learning in. About 55% of our kids have opted to engage with us in what we call the Plan B format, and 45% of our students have enrolled in the Virtual Academy. We are currently going to open the school year on Plan B transition. And what that basically means is, to start with, all students will be learning online from home. And then as conditions are changing with COVID-19 in our communities, if things get better, then the district will begin to shift us to Plan B. And that would mean that we would begin to phase students into the school buildings. When and we get to that point this school year where we are on the regular Plan B, those students, that 55% of our student body, will begin to rotate into campus for face-to-face learning and teaching, and rotate out for online remote learning. So there'll be a rotation schedule that we'll share with you later on once we get to that point in the school year. However, our Virtual Academy students, by enrolling in the Virtual Academy, those students have declared that they would like to continue to learn at Cary High School in an online format for either the entire semester or for the entire year, depending how they registered. So student orientation weeks. The district has said that the first 2 weeks of school will be dedicated to student orientation. At Cary High School, what that's going to look like is we're going to have live classes for students on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the first 2 weeks. That's just for the first 2 weeks. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to have no live instruction. Instead, the folks on our campus will be focused on setting up distribution stations on the campus to hand out textbooks, equipment that students might need for the classroom, or learning kits. Orientation weeks will focus on training students on how to access their teachers' resources. Spend some time letting students and teachers get to know each other online. Teachers will spend some time probably assessing the previous learned material of students. And we know we'll be spending some time troubleshooting issues that might arise for students and also maybe for teachers in this new online learning format that we're going to be using this year. The only schedule changes that we'll be doing this year are going to be centered around uh, three primary areas. One, if you have a hole in your schedule, then definitely you'll want to request a schedule change if we forgot to schedule a class for one of your 4 slots. If you're missing a prerequisite course for a class that you're in, so let's say, for example, we mistakenly scheduled you for Math 4 and you haven't even completed Math 3 yet, that would be something you'd want to let us know so that we can go back in there and fix that. We would put you back into the Math 3 class. Perhaps you are concerned about your math level placement for the fall. I do know that we had, approximately half our students were enrolled in math in the spring. And with the shutdown of school and some of the options that students had to choose from with regard to how they wanted to continue or discontinue their learning for the spring, some students may be a little nervous about heading into the next level math class. So if you're a student who would like to level down in your math class, so drop from an honors class down to an academic level math class, that's also a change request form that we will process. But unlike years past, we really do not have the capability to change your electives or your other classes you've registered for just because you don't like the class. It needs to fall under one of these three categories, either a hole in your schedule, you're missing a prerequisite, or you need to level down in math. That's really all that our master schedule can accommodate, given the other challenges that we've had with setting up a master schedule this year. Now, with respect to students and getting ready for learning, there's a few things I need you to start taking care of in the next few weeks. First, I want you to check and to ensure that your learning device is working properly. So make sure you do a dry run, test run or two on your connectivity, making sure that you can participate in a Google Meet. So you might want to do that with one of your friends or one of your family members just to make sure it's all working properly. I do strongly encourage all students to either use a laptop, a desktop, or a Chromebook for online learning this year at Cary High School. In the spring, when we had the unexpected closure, we did push out a lot of Chromebooks to families who requested those. But I do believe that some of our students were engaging in learning using a phone or maybe a tablet, and this is going to be a different there's going to be a different level of expectations in terms of how much work you're doing this year in the online platform. So we want to make sure you're ready for that load and that you have devices that'll make your interfaces with your peers and your teachers easy. So again, a laptop, a desktop, or a Chromebook is really what you need, one of those three devices. If you are still in need of one of those devices, let's say that you don't have any of those, you don't have a Chromebook at home or a laptop, then you can still try to check out a device from Wake County. There's still some limited devices and Wi-Fi hotspots available. So if you need that information and you haven't already requested it, there was a survey that the district sent out several weeks ago asking families who needed it to please sign up. If you did not sign up at that time, then go ahead and send an email to Mr. Jeremy Barefoot, our assistant principal, who is heading up our device effort. And there's his email address you can see on the screen. Other things you need to do to get ready, students. I need you to log into your PowerSchool account on Friday, August 14th after 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. or later. That is our target date for having all of the schedule changes into the system. From moving kids from the regular enrollment over into the virtual academy and getting all these courses sorted out. So by that point, you should see a schedule that is pretty close to being accurate. So if you'll log in sometime after the 14th, At 5 p.m., you can see your schedule for the year. Then I want you to go to the main Cary High School website. I want you to select academics from the toolbar at the top on the main landing page. Then it'll drop down and you can select departments. And then once you go into the departments, you're going to see we've reorganized that so that you can see all of your teachers and staff members for the school are listed in that according to departments, and their name will be a hyperlink into their course material, and that'll help you get it started with your online courses the following Monday. I also encourage you to think about where you might want to set up your device when you're engaging in your classes. That would mean sort of check your surroundings, make sure that whatever your camera on your device might capture is something that you're going to be okay with and comfortable with. You wouldn't want to post up, outside the bathroom or someplace that somebody, that you might have a lot of traffic, going back and forth behind you. So think about that for a little bit, and post up and do a dry run. Turn your camera on, see what's in your field of view. And that way you'll feel most confident when you're engaging with your teachers and students on beginning Monday. I also want you to think about what school supplies you might need. And I think sticking to the basics right now is probably a good idea. So pencils, pens, highlighters, maybe some notebook paper, maybe some graph paper if you have a math class. I would encourage you to think about either using a notebook or 3-ring notebook binder, or maybe even some folders, just file folders to keep your loose paper and stuff organized. You're not going to get a lot of handouts, obviously, because we're going to be working on a virtual platform. But if you decided to choose to print some of those out at home, or if you're taking notes at home, you just want to be able to keep all your materials together in one place, and so that your 4 classes don't get mixed up. We will have school supplies available for students who need assistance with that, and we'll be able to distribute those to students on the Tuesday and Thursday distribution days. So we'll push out a little bit more information maybe a few days before school starts, letting you know which days school supplies can be picked up from the school if you're a student who needs us to help you with that. I want to address for just a minute what are the expectations for students during online learning. First, we will have a bell schedule, and you're going to get some exposure to that bell schedule a little later in the week, but we will run virtual bells just like we would if we were in school. And you know what time we start here? It's pretty early, 7:25. So I do need students to be prepared to be up and in class. So you'll have to be present in your classes because we are taking attendance. You must remain online during the entire class unless your teacher dismisses you. So when you log in for a class, we're going to be having live class sessions, and we need you to stay online the whole time for that. Also, your teachers are going to give you specific directions about whether they want your microphones turned on and your cameras turned on, or whether they want those turned off. So just pay attention to your teachers, and as they call on you, most likely what they'll do is have you mute your microphone, leave your camera on probably, and then when they call on you, they'll ask you to unmute and then share with the class. So anyway, just make sure you're listening to your teacher and you're following those instructions. Please know we do have deadlines this time. Unlike the spring, we are following regular deadlines as if you were on campus, and we'll be giving regular grades just like we were if you were on campus. So we want to make sure we take this seriously. Missing classes or virtual classes or not following through on your work can get you in a hole pretty quickly. And I also want to remind you that students must adhere to school rules during the learning sessions. So whatever you would get in trouble for here at school, if you were to do in class, you can also get in trouble for in the virtual environment. So please make sure that you are dressed appropriately when it's time to go to your virtual class, that you are not doing anything in your virtual class that would cause you to have to miss out in future class sessions because of consequences. And so in closure, I just want to say this is just the beginning of a virtual orientation series that will be pushing information out to both students and parents. I do recognize and acknowledge that we are charting a new course through new territory here. It does promise to be one where we're going to learn new things and strategies, and probably students are going to be developing new and better work habits of self-regulation. But I'm excited about what this new opportunity holds for all of us. I think when it's over, we're going to come out the other end much stronger. And so this quote, I think, kind of sums up the mindset I want all of us to go into this school year with. The struggle that you're in today is developing the strength you need for tomorrow. So again, congratulations on being promoted and entering another school year. We look forward to engaging you fully beginning August 17th. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and stay tuned to additional announcements in my principal newsletters and on our school website. Thank you and good night.